Hey guys, it's WingraMax here, and today I have a special video for you. We're going to be building a budget custom computer. Woohoo! So yeah, I've been waiting a long time to do this, and yeah, so I guess we'll start out with the parts review and what parts I decided to get for it. So, I guess we'll just start off with the video card since that's right here. This is a Asus R7 250X, and it has two DVI ports. One is DVI-I and one is DVI-D. It might be switched up, but it's got an HDMI port and a display port. It also comes with a handy-dandy DVI to VGA adapter, which would be useful for some people out there. But if we take a look at the casing on this, the heatsink looks pretty nice. Dual Asus fans and a big heatsink under it. In the back, it's just a bare PCB. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video card. I got this for around $140, I guess. I paid a little bit much for it, but yeah. So let's move on to the pride of the system, the Intel 530 series SSD. This thing is a beast. I got it on sale for like 50% off on Newegg. It was 60 bucks. So originally it was pretty expensive, 120 bucks. It's a 128 gig SSD, and good thing to start out with. It's very fast. I've used it before. I like it. And the later can be upgraded to get like a WD Caviar Blue or something for extra storage. But with this, you may even want to put your operating system on it and stuff you use a lot, like your web browser and your other stuff that you might use a lot. So, since this is a budget computer, we're going with 4 gigs of Crucial Ballistic Sport RAM. This is DDR3 and it runs at 1,600 megahertz. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for the RAM. It's just 4 gigs of RAM. We have a Silverstone fan that came with the case. Pretty regular fan, I guess. Nothing special about it. Have a Wi-Fi card, just for Wi-Fi in case you need it. Pretty standard too. And then for the motherboard and the processor, we have a Gigabyte motherboard with a Pro 7 Rev 2.0 Arctic freezer cooler, and I am a big fan of these coolers. They run very silently, and the heat pipes make them look really good. Here, I can get a side view on it. Oops. Pipes make it look nice, and under that bad boy is a AMD FX 6300 6-core processor. We're going for all them cores just because it was only about $100, and so yeah, it's a good budget gaming CPU. So yeah, the case, we got a Silverstone case, pretty standard, about 30 bucks on Newegg. And then for the power supply, we're going with the old trustworthy Antec 380 watt. I love this thing. This thing is amazing. It works well, very reliable. The thing I don't like about it is it's modular, and there's cables everywhere, and it kind of hurts your cable management. So yeah, I guess now that we've reviewed the parts, we can get started. So what you're going to want to start doing is, if your case already didn't come with like the front panel stuff installed on it, then you're going to want to install your front panel stuff. And most cases do, but I don't know if mine did or not, because I've had this case for a while. So yeah, I'll come back to you once I've done that. Okay guys, we're back, and after a few minutes, I finished installing my front panel stuff. As you can see, we now have a power button, although I did pull out the reset switch because I hate when I accidentally hit that. We have our USB 3 ports and audio and microphone jack. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Basic standard cover front. Yeah, what you're gonna get on a $30 case, but so yeah, now our next step is to install this fan in the front, and basically how you do that is gotta go to the front where there should be screw holes for it. Hold on, I gotta tilt my camera here. Oops, that failed. Okay, that should be good. And then you're going to want to take your cord and then push it back and into a hole in your case, so then it should go freely in your case. Now that you have that there, you're going to want to put your fan in the mount where it'll fit. So there is a mount especially for this fan up here, and now I just got to line up the holes and grab the 4 screws that it has on it. Hold on, let's see if here's 2 of them. Hold on, got a little difficulty here, can't find the other 2 screws. And if you can't find the other screws, it'll hold on with 2 just fine. Yeah, I can't find the other ones. Don't do this. Make sure you keep your screws in like a magnetic cup or something, but I don't advise just using 2. I'm going to have to, just for the sake of time. Just going to put 2 screws in it. And you're good. That actually works better than I thought it would. Alright, fans installed. Now you can take the bezel, whatever it's called, on the front. I'm not even sure what that's what it's called, but you can take that. You can slide it on. Your front of your case is now done. And my camera just fell over again. Sorry, my camera mount isn't working very well today. Oh my god. What the frick? Hold on, I'll be back when I can fix this. Okay guys, I'm back, and I guess I've somewhat fixed the problem. So, now that we've got our front panel crap installed, well, it's not crap, but can move on to installing the power supply. And I really suggest installing the power supply first because it's kind of a pain once your motherboard's in, and you want putting a computer together to be as not the hardest thing in the world to do. So you're going to take your power supply. Hold on, let me just see if my camera's getting this. Oh, nope, it isn't. Good call. Just gonna move that stuff over there. Alright, camera should be getting it now. You're going to take your power supply, and you're going to want to line it up. So there's 4 screw holes that are all pretty symmetrical, but there's one that's raised a little bit, and you want to line that up with the screw hole on your power supply. So once you have it lined up, you're going to slide it into whatever your case offers. There's some of them offer a rail, but mine doesn't, so I'm just going to slide it in. And when you're sliding it in, make sure that you kind of lift your case up a little bit. So all these cables, if you're not using a fully modular power supply, go back there. So now I'm just going to put in my power supply, and just keep pulling the cables back because those are really annoying. I do recommend getting a fully modular power supply if you have a little extra money. And you're just like, oh screw it, I'll get a fully modular and save myself the hassle of doing all this crappy cable management. So, rant over. I installed that backwards. Just flip it over. Now that I have my power supply slid into place, or at least it should be slid into place. Move that way a little bit. We can start screwing it in because you don't want a loose power supply in your case. That's just bad. So you should definitely do all 4 screws on the power supply. That is recommended. Don't do a half job like I did on the front panel. So you're gonna line the power supply up just long enough for you to put a screw in, and then you're just gonna tighten the screw enough so it holds the power supply. You don't want to tighten it completely, because if you get into a habit of doing that, it's gonna start damaging things. Then, here, if I move this way a little bit, you can see better. You're gonna want to take, oh my god, stick it there. You're gonna want to take the screw that's directly across from it, not horizontally or vertically, but you want to go diagonally across from it, so you're equally distributing the pressure on it. This shouldn't be as hard as it looks like. Alright, got that one in. That's going in. Okay, and then just keep doing the thing. Once you have all 4 screws in, you just want to keep tightening and tightening them until you feel good with your job on tightening it. And I'll come back when I finish the other 2. Okay, I'm back and I finished putting my power supply in. So, one thing I forgot to mention when I started the video is that when assembling your PC, you always want to make sure it is on an anti-static surface. That means it could be a anti-static mat, concrete that's not coated with something that can conduct, or wood that's not coated with something that can conduct, or anything else. You never, ever, ever want to build your computer on top of carpet. No, no, no. That is not suggested. You can create static electricity, which can short out your components, and when you short out a $150 graphics card, you do not feel good. So, there's your information of the day. Alright, so I guess the next thing we're going to install is probably the SSD, because once you have the motherboard in, it's a pain to install. So, you're going to start by taking your SSD, and my Intel 531 came with this mount on it, so I have basically the SSD mounted to this mount, which fits in a 5 1/4 inch hard drive bay. This SSD is, I think, 2.5 inches, I don't know, but this doesn't come with any SSD slots, so I'm basically gonna put it in a 5 1/4 inch. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to make sure that the SATA and SATA power ports are on the outside of this, so that when you put it in, they're coming out, so you don't have to run a cable all the way back, and that's just a pain. So, a fine thing about this, my graphics card's probably going to be about right here, so I don't want to mount this down here. I want to mount it up towards here. And I can move this fan wire. So once you find a spot that's suitable for your needs, you can start sliding it in. Okay, now that it's sort of slid in, I guess, we can start to tighten it, if I can get this to work. Okay, there we go. Those 2 screw holes are lined up. Alright, once you have the screw holes lined up, you can take some of your screws. I suggest using 3 or 4, because you're going to want to do 2 on one side or 2 on one side and 1 on the other. You know what I mean? Take your screwdriver. I have this handy dandy little screwdriver that lets you use different sizes of screws, but I'm going to use a flathead piece because I find it's easier to use a flathead than a Phillips head. But, yeah. You're going to take your SSD, once you've slid it in, take a screw. Oh my god. I hate tiny screws. And then you're just going to tighten it. Just put it in and tighten it. And just keep doing that. Keep repeating it. You want to tighten it as much as you can to limit vibration in your case, because a PC that vibrates is no fun. You want a quiet PC, unless you're one of those guys that likes computers that make a lot of noise, like those motorcycle people that like purposely take the mufflers off their bikes just to make noise. It's like a pride thing. Alright, so if I can ever get this stupid screw in, we can move on. Okay, there we go. There's one. And I'm going to have to flip the case over, put the other one in. And the case is slowly getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I suggest if you're using a hard drive in your case to handle it with care, a lot of care, because a dropped hard drive is a broken hard drive. Hard drives do not take drops very well. You can drop an SSD, it'll pretty much be fine, hopefully. But when you drop a mechanical hard drive, that is no fun. So now our SSD is installed. Now we're done with basically almost all the mounting. So we're going just to move our case off to the side here and focus on the motherboard now that we have the basic stuff inside the case. So here's our micro ATX form factor motherboard. If I can just zoom in here a little bit. So you can see this RAM slot right here is open. And so if you didn't catch on right now, we're going to install the RAM. So you're going to want to line the notch up. Where is that? Okay, I can't find the RAM. Okay, you're going to want to line the notch up with the notch on your slot. And just pop it in. So, and when you pop it in, you should hear a satisfying clicking noise, and you'll know that your RAM has been installed. Woohoo! You get a round of applause. Now, alright guys, I'm back, and we are going to install our motherboard. So, what you want to do is you want to get all the cables you can out of the way. You don't want any cables to be interfering with your motherboard dry placement. So what you're going to do is you're going to dry fit your motherboard to make sure all of the standoffs line up with slot holes on your motherboard. This is crucial because you don't want any standoffs hitting a different spot in the motherboard and potentially shorting it out. So, you can see that if we put our motherboard down, there's one standoff, there's another standoff, there's two more standoffs. Okay, all the standoffs are now in line. We now know that all our standoffs are installed correctly. So what you're going to want to pull out now is something called the I/O shield. It stands for input-output shield. And this usually comes with your motherboard. Well, it should come with your motherboard. So now down here, if you can see right there, we have our motherboard input-output section. So before we screw the motherboard in, before you do that, you're going to want to move your motherboard to the side a little bit, or wherever you can, and just set the input-output shield on these slots. I don't know if you can see this or not. I'll check in a second. Okay, I don't know. Now that you have it set, you need to carefully lower your motherboard in position with the input-output shield still on, and press the input-output shield into the back of the case, just like that. Gotta make sure your input-output shield is fit snug, and then it gives you a little satisfying click when it pops in. Don't have any light. I don't see if that... Okay, that lines up. So now... Okay, you guys couldn't see that before. Let's see, I'm just gonna move that down. Okay, now you can see down there. And we're gonna take a screw and just set it in one of the holes. You can see there, I'm about to put a screw in. And just slowly put it in. Make sure you don't tighten it all the way again, because you're going to end up wrecking something if you get into a habit like that. So, just zoom out here so you can get the whole picture. And make sure you install all the screws, because you don't want your motherboard rattling around on the standoffs. Because again, a loud PC is no fun unless you got that pride thing going on. So, yep. To get that, just want to keep putting screws in. just keep doing that, and I guess it's kind of boring, so I'll come back when I finish doing that. Alright, we can all celebrate now. I have installed my motherboard. Woohoo! So, now we're going to install our expansion cards, like our Wi-Fi card and our graphics card, if you consider that an expansion card. Okay, so, since our graphics card is huge and it covers 2 slots, we're going to start with our Wi-Fi card, because that would be more difficult to put in if we put in the graphics card first. So if you notice, there are slots on your motherboard, and you might be wondering, oh, what the heck are those? Well, these are the slots. We have our slot where our graphics card's going to go, a mini PCI slot, and a slot where our Wi-Fi card's going to go. I'm not sure the correct names for those, but yeah. So you're going to want to start by lining up the notches, and just basically giving it a firm push into the slot. Make sure it's lined up correctly too, because there's a little slot on the edge of the case that it has to line up with, and it's kind of difficult to get it lined up. That sounded weird, but okay. Now our Wi-Fi card's in. We have successfully installed a Wi-Fi card. So, time for our graphics card, which covers up this and this slot. Well, you can see that, this one and that one. We're going to be putting it into this blue slot, and it will take up 2 slot covers on the back. So, just going to lower it in, make sure it's all lined up. And that's a little difficult. If you're working in a micro ATX case, you got to make sure your graphics card will fit, because this just barely fits in this case. I can see that now. Oops, that moved a little too fast. Okay, we're going to move back here, and see right there that there is slots right here that screws going. So I'm not sure if I have the piece to my case or not. I better have it. Hold on, let me just look around for a few minutes. Find it. I'll come back if I find it or not. Okay, I'm back. I never found it, so we're just going to do this the do-it-yourself way. So, oh, dang, now I lost my screwdriver. I'm losing everything today. Oh, there it is. Okay, so you can see we're going to start here, and we're just going to put a screw there. Oh, shit. I just dropped a screw on the motherboard now. We have to take our graphics card out. And there we go. Got it. That was a pain. I think I'm probably going to put my graphics card back in after I get this thing screwed on. So if that happens again, I just want to limit the risk of my graphics card getting hurt, because I don't want to spend another $140. Okay. Okay, now that we have the screw resting on it, start spinning. Spinning and turning. Turning the screw. Okay, it's in now. Now we can put our graphics card back in. And that should go in just like that. There we go. Hear that satisfying noise. Okay. Just enough screws left. Pretty much. Now we're going to put that on. And that on it. Graphics card and Wi-Fi card have been installed. Woohoo! So now you're probably wondering, oh, where do all the cords and wires and cables and crap go? Well, we're going to do that now, and cable management. So yeah, I guess we're going to start by moving the camera to get this. So you're going to want to start by taking a SATA cable, if I can find mine that I had laying around. Here it is, my SATA cable. If I can zoom out even more, there we go. We're just gonna want to focus on the back of that SSD there. You're gonna want to plug the SATA cable into your SSD, simple as pie. Then you're gonna route it back, and I'm gonna have to take my graphics card out again because it's gonna be a pain in the butt to route cables with this thing in. That's one of the downsides of working in a micro ATX case, because there is like no room. Okay. Graphics card is out. And now we can plug the SATA cable into one of those blue SATA cable plug things. So now I'm just going to plug it into whichever one is convenient, like that, and now we have a cable. Well, what do we do with that? Well, we're probably going to have to zip tie it. So zip tie it like that, make it look pretty, take a zip tie. And that's another thing, PC pride, you want your case to look nice. People judge a computer not only by its parts, but by its cooling system, like water cooling, and by how nice the cable management is. And graphics card too, if you're a gamer. Now that we have that cut down to size, we can snip it. And that looks nice. Okay. Successfully installed our SSD. Well, sort of. Okay. So you're probably wondering, what the heck are these? All these random things that come from the front panel of the case. So, well, by simply following the instructions on your motherboard manual, or if your manufacturer was nice enough, they put little markings on a piece, on a plug on your motherboard, where you can easily slide the front panel things into position. So if you see right there, there's a front panel thing. If I can get a better shot at this. Okay. Right down there. Okay, there's my shot. Alright, so you're going to start by whichever cable seems easiest. I suggest the 2-prong one, so we're just going to start with the hard drive light. And with lights, you really got to make sure that you have them lined up correctly. Positive and negative, so just plug that in to the designated position. The power switch now. Power switch, okay. Okay, I think orange is going to be, I don't know. Just going to plug that in. Okay, that's plugged in now. Reset switch goes under that. Darn. Reset goes under that. And now we got the power LEDs. Darn. Hate these things. And then power lights. Woohoo! I love them. And I hate them at the same time. Alright. I believe that green is positive. Yep, it says green is positive. Good. I don't know if I can get my hand down there. That sounded weird, but... Alright. Cable management. Alright. That's in. Successfully installed the SSD and front panel switches. Now, if I can get that to get a good shot. There we go. Decent shot. We're gonna plug in the HD audio. Apparently, it's HD. Woohoo! All right. Audio looks like it goes back there. So we're gonna run it around the heatsink. And plug it in to the designated audio on the motherboard. Alright, that was a little freaky, but it's plugged in. Just that noise freaked me out a little bit. Alright, since I was an idiot and I didn't check compatibility first, I have this extra USB 3 plug that doesn't plug into my USB 2 motherboard. So, what we're going to have to do is I later will have to get a adapter for this, which is like 10 bucks. Whew, more money. So in the meantime, we just won't be able to utilize the USB 3 ports on the front of the case, which isn't the biggest deal because, I mean, we have like 6 USB ports on the back. That's fine. So I guess, yeah. What should I do next? Oh, graphics card. That should probably go back in. Yeah. And the fan. Okay. So I think this is the fan. Yeah, it's a 3-pin. Okay, system fan. This is a fan pin. And this is going to go right down there somewhere. So you can't see because the Wi-Fi card is in the way, but if I can get that to plug in. And always make sure when you're working with your computer, it's pretty hard to not touch any PCBs. Like, it's really hard to, so I suggest either using an anti-static strap or when you're touching a conductible piece like a solder or something, always maintain physical contact with the case, because that will ground you. So yeah, I'm just going to tuck those cables away. It'd be nice if I had more zip ties, but I currently don't, so I'm kind of slopping on this cable management job, and also for the sake of time, because I don't have all day for this video. Alright, that looks decent. Just gotta say that. And we're just gonna route that cable behind it. Alright. Scooch that back, camera mount. Okay. Now I guess it's time for the power supply to plug into everything. So we're just gonna reinstall our graphics card, which is always a pain in the butt, because this thing is so freaking huge. But it was worth it because it's an awesome graphics card. And is there any chance you could move front panel audio? Alright, sorry, I'm just talking to myself here. Shit. Ow, that hurt. Come on, can I fit my graphics card in with that cable there? Alright, I just ran into a little problem. One of the cables was too tight and I couldn't fit my graphics card in, but I managed to get it in fine. Problem solved. Crisis averted. And my screwdriver fell on the ground. So we're just gonna screw our graphics card back in and we will be all set to start routing the power supply cables and plugging stuff like the motherboard and the CPU in and the graphics card auxiliary power, all that fun stuff, and the SATA power for the SSD. So, if we get to, okay, I just gotta get more leverage on this. Okay, there we go. That's perfect shot. All right, flipping this over. Happy, happy fun times. Good days. Alright, now, as you can see, we have this huge jumble of cables, and 3/4 of them we don't even frickin' need, thanks to people who refuse to make fully modular power supplies, or at least semi-modular. Okay, so, at least we have this handy-dandy piece back here where we can route cables there. So, first to start off, we're going to route our motherboard. Primary power for the motherboard. We're just going to shove that in there, I guess. That'll work fine. Or not, because the back panel doesn't fit on all too well, so we're just gonna run that even more back there just to give it some room. Okay, we have a, let's see, this is a PCIe power cable, so this should go back to the graphics card, which will be using the PCIe auxiliary power. And that doesn't reach. That is great. Woohoo. Because some idiot put a zip tie there. That was probably me. Hold on. Get rid of the freaking zip tie. There we go. Now we can reach. That should have nothing to do with this. Get that motherboard cable out of here. Out of the jungle. No, we don't want your motherboard cable. Why is there another zip tie there? Oh my god. I swear. Alright, now that we have this big jumble of cables somewhat controlled, we can run them back like that. Or somewhat, I guess, yeah. Alright, our PCIe cable can go back through and into the motherboard. Alright, now that we're in the motherboard, we can also route these fun little cables that no one likes, I guess. Woohoo! So that's being utilized, but we can run the rest of these back through somewhere, I guess. Woohoo. This makes no sense. Alright, oh, yeah, there we go. Big jumble of cables is now being routed. Your cables are now being routed. Your cables are now being routed. Woohoo, no one cares. Alright, put those back in there. Just half-ass it. Alright. Now we can... Oh, it's heavy. Flip the case over and take all the relevant power cables we will need. If I can reach them. Darn it. Ow, that is on my hand. Ah, why does cable management always have to be so hard? I hate cable management. Alright, that should be pretty much it. We can plug our, that is Molex, that's Molex, that's Molex, that's floppy. Can officially plug our, hold on, I can't talk while I'm doing this. Alright, we can officially plug our SSD in. There we go, that did it. Okay. That goes like that. There we go. Good. Okay, now what the frick do we do with these cables? Alright, we're going to route them. Oh god, that goes to the processor, which is all the way over there. That shouldn't be back here. Hold on. The power for the extra power for the processor, I accidentally routed with the rest of the cables. That won't have enough length to fit back there, so yeah. These cables are useless. No one likes them. They're cables that no one really needs. No one runs Molex drives anymore. Alright, now that we have that back there, we may continue our journey with cable management. Alright, remember before when I shoved this motherboard 24-pin cable back here? Well, we're going to plug it in now. Whew, so fun. Yeah. Gotta plug that in now. So, I'm going to just plug it in like this. And this is always a pain in the butt to get. Be careful, make sure to be gentle to your motherboard because that is something you don't want breaking. It's not easy to replace once you get this far. Alright, that should be good. And that needs to go. Need to remove a cable because I can't route this huge clonkin' motherboard cable with it existing. Okay, good mounting point is the SSD. You can shove stuff under it just to make it kind of out of sight, out of mind, I guess, a little bit. And make sure you avoid cases that hardly have any room in the back. I mean, if there's a significant price difference between one that does and one that doesn't, then definitely go with the cheaper one if you're building a budget build. But if you want good cable management, then don't get something like this case where there's like hardly any room in between the back, because then you can't route all your cables. So let's see. Processor is right here, which means the power is going to be right here somewhere. So we're going to just route that back like that. And we're probably going to put the back of the case on, just see if it fits. Okay, that actually goes on really nicely. Now we just need to fish out the extra screws I have laying around somewhere. Yep, darn extra screws. Darn. There's that extra piece before that was loud. Yeah, where did all my screws go? This is happy. Oh, there's one. Found one. Alright. Once we can screw that on. Okay guys, I'm back, and now that we've got the CPU cable over here, we are going to plug it in. Some CPUs on higher quality motherboards and higher quality CPUs, they take up 2 of these plugs. But this CPU is lower end, so we're just going to plug in 1 because that's all it calls for. Alright. Pretty much it. Now we have everything plugged in, and we get to do a blind test with it. I call it that because you're really not putting anything on, and once your power cable is plugged in, you really want to make sure that your power supply is off. Keep it off, because if it's on, then power is going to be going to your things like your graphics card, even though the computer's not on. And you don't want that, because if you accidentally touch it, you're going to short it out, and there goes $150. So yeah, we're going to do a test now. Just move my cam back here. And I can find this. Gonna plug our handy dandy cable in. Just not gonna bother to do that screwed in right now. Turn our monitor on, and I don't know if I can get a mouse over here or something. Okay, apparently I can. Well, I'm gonna just grab that mouse because I had it routed somewhere. Just gonna grab a mouse. So this SSD does have an OS on it already, so just to eliminate the hassle of this. So now that we have this all plugged in, turn the PSU on, and hit the power button. So it should be booting up. We did everything correctly. Nothing shorted out. Let me just look at this. Okay, it's booting up. There's our motherboard. Okay, the lights are all on in the front. Power button worked, which is nice. All our fans are spinning. And, yep, it booted up. So, you can see I'm running Ubuntu on this because it was just a free operating system I just could get really fast. And so yeah, just have a look at the inside of the computer. We have everything pretty much good. Our graphics card light is on, CPU fan is spinning, and all is good. Well, there you go, folks. Now you know how to build your own custom computer, and I hope you learned something from this video. And for more videos like this, please comment, rate, and subscribe to my channel. It helps a lot, and I will see you guys next time. Adios.